Hello and welcome back to ERU, where we round up the best of the weekend's action from across European football. Joining me today is Pato. And before we get into the first winner, just a quick shout out to please like the video and get your best comments in the first 2 hours of it going live, and we will reply. We'll be in the comments section, and the best comments we'll get on the FD Instagram story. How exciting is that? But we have a big topic to kick off today, because Bayern Munich are in our winners section at the suggestion of @RoomCobra, but there's plenty to discuss in this. Pat, let's start with the match itself.
Yeah, well, it was pretty straightforward. Bayern went into this game with 8 wins in 9 games, and after this they've got 9 wins in 10. 10 games unbeaten now with a 6-0 victory over Hoffenheim. Absolutely flying. Hoffenheim, on the other hand, were going into this match already on a 4-game winless run, and of course it continued. They went behind after just 2 minutes thanks to their former forward, Serge Gnabry. 14 of his 18 goals this campaign have come away from home. So really doing it for them in the tough fixtures. Anyway, by the 20-minute mark, they were 3 behind with goals from 2 Joshuas. That's Kimmich and Zirkzee, their young striker. That means that Bayern became the first team in Bundesliga history to score a minimum of 3 goals in 5 consecutive away games. Absolutely insane. Goretzka scored, then Coutinho got a brace, and that wraps it all up, putting them top of the table by 3 points after Leipzig's 1-1 draw with Bayer Leverkusen. Now, this was just typical Bayern dominance, really. 64% possession for the Giants, 11 attempts on target, which was 10 more than Hoffenheim managed. XG had it at 0.5 for Hoffenheim and 5 for Bayern.
Oh my goodness,
so they didn't even really overperform to get this result. But when this could have just been a simple day of celebration, the fans decided to make it something else.
Yeah, well, there's quite a lot to discuss in this, because basically the away fans, the Bayern fans, brought banners into the stadium reading, "Everything is the same. The DFB broke their promise. Hopp is still a son of a whore." Now, this is referring to Dietmar Hopp, the Hoffenheim owner and the German Football Federation member. Dietmar Hopp has been able to essentially circumvent the 50+1 rule in Germany, investing millions into Hoffenheim to push them up the league. So they have got a 30,000-seater stadium, but the village itself has a mere population of just 3,000. And during the interruption of play, so they stopped play, they saw the banners, Hansi Flick, Hassan Salihamidzic and Oliver Kahn went over to the fans and furiously urged them to stop. But once play resumed, both teams protested against the fans. So they got taken off the pitch, both players, by the referee, went back on. The banners weren't taken away fully. But to better give you an understanding of what went on, let's hear from Archie Rintut, who is a Bundesliga expert for Fox Sport and a Guardian podcast contributor, who was at the game on the weekend. This is his thoughts on the matter.
This is because the ultras in Germany are trying to stand up for the fan ownership model, for 50+1, and Hopp flies in the face of that. Now, no one is calling what the ultras said right. I get that. However, where was this strength of response in German football to racism just a few weeks ago, when Jordan Turanariga of Hertha was racially abused in their cup game away at Schalke? He was left crying on the pitch, and instead of showing racism the red card, Turanariga himself got a red card a few minutes later when he overreacted to something that happened in the game. Showing this reaction for Dietmar Hopp and not the same for an incident of racism, which is a bigger problem for sure, that doesn't feel right.
So in quite extraordinary scenes, for the remaining sort of 13, 15 minutes of the games, both teams just passed around the ball between them without any sort of interaction, no sort of energy to proceedings. It was bizarre to see. And Bayern aren't the only fan base to have issues with Hopp, as Dortmund fans were previously banned for an away trip. And when the BVB fans were protesting in a Prague game, a Hoffenheim employee used an acoustic device that produced health-threatening sound levels in order to disrupt the BVB supporters. The affair was later known as Soundgate, so Hoffenheim did not face any consequences. So this issue has been rumbling on for quite a while now. And their game on Saturday was threatened with suspension if they continue their anti-Hopp chants against Freiburg, that's Dortmund, that is. So there's quite a few fan bases taking action, or making a stand against Hopp as it is. And German football fans obviously have a huge emphasis on tradition, but the issue here, Pat, it seems to be that, when Schalke were found guilty of racially abusing a player a couple of weeks ago, no action was taken or at least to these same lengths. So do you think that there's a certain sort of irony or certain hypocrisy in that they seem to be taking more issues against protests against an owner than taking actions on bigger issues in the game?
I guess so, yeah. Like, certainly they should be taking action against racism or whatever, but I think that, I don't know, I don't think that this is something that you really want to be going on at games anyway. Like, especially the language they use.
Yeah.
Like, if they just said something like, you know, Dietmar Hopp is like pumping money into football illegally and ruining the sport, like, I think that would probably have created a problem, but nothing like this level. Like, when you say, like, he's a son of a whore, like, I really don't see how that makes... It's not exactly political commentary, and also I think it probably makes the stadium like much less welcoming to female supporters as well. Like, so yes, I think the fact that I don't know, it's one of those things where I don't think the two things should really be related. Like, clearly you have to have tougher action on racism. That's not really relevant to this, but I suppose it does look a little bit like the DFB cares more about like defending the feelings of a billionaire than they care about actual racial abuse going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly not right, and the banners, you know, are inexcusable and all that. But I'm kind of the opinion that we've never seen action like this for any issue in football beforehand. Like, referees pretty much, you know, taking fans away. Both sets of players sort of doing their own protests, you know, kicking the ball around between themselves for 30 minutes. Absolutely unprecedented scenes. And I just hope that they take this method of protest and action against fans into, you know, different leagues around the world. So, you know, look at Serie A, look at the Premier League with its issues with racism. So
yes,
there's plenty to learn from this situation. But yeah, bizarre scenes at Bayern Munich, and they, you know, maintain their lead at the top of the table. Let's move on to our first loser.
Our first losers of the week, unsurprisingly, come from the biggest match. It was El Clasico on Sunday night, and Barcelona ran out losers. They come from @PortableDart995. This suggestion, though, to be honest, we did know it was coming. Dukes, what happened?
Yeah, so Barcelona lost a captivating El Clasico 2-0 to drop a point behind rivals Real Madrid with goals from Vinicius Jr and Mariano Diaz. So Real faced a seemingly monumental task going into the game, having not beaten their opponents in their last 7 league meetings and having lost their last 4 league meetings at the Bernabeu. Although I am pleased because on Continental Club in our big match preview, we all predicted a Real Madrid victory, so nice stuff from us there. Barcelona certainly had the better of the first half with chances for Griezmann. He ballooned a shot over the bar. Arta and Messi, the latter two saved by Courtois, who has now saved 30 of the last 36 shots he has faced in La Liga. Really has turned it around from that. Was it in November where he had that shocker against Club Brugge? Well done to him. But in the second half, Real took control and broke the deadlock in the 71st minute through 19-year-old Vinicius Jr.'s second La Liga goal of the season. So he's not exactly excelled in front of goal, but looks an absolutely outstanding player in the making. In the process, he became the youngest league scorer in El Clasico this century, overtaking Lionel Messi's 2007 effort. Mariano then popped up in the 92nd minute to seal the win. I really like this goal, the way he moved the ball in the last possible minute before shooting past Ter Stegen in the near post, having just come on a minute earlier. Remarkably, that was the Dominicans' first La Liga appearance of the season, so what a way to make your mark. Barcelona, though, can perhaps count themselves a little unlucky to not get anything from the game. So they had 56% possession. They had 9 shots with 4 on target to Real's 13 and 5, but created the much higher quality chances. So XG had it at 1.6 to 1, so a draw probably would have been a fair result. But it's been quite a sort of remarkable turnaround for Real Madrid, Pat, under Zidane this season.
Yeah, they've done well this year. Obviously finished third last season, 19 points behind Barcelona. But after 26 league games this year, they've lost 6 fewer games, conceded 14 fewer goals, and accumulated 8 more points. They're now a point ahead of Barcelona. And if they finished on the same points as Barca, it would go to head-to-head record. In real terms, they're 2 points ahead. They've also got a pretty easy run in their last 12 games. Only 2 matches against top 6 opposition, Real Sociedad away, Getafe at home. And if they were to go on and win the title, it would be just their 3rd league title since 2008. I mean, Barcelona have been staggeringly dominant
very
in domestic
consistent
play.
Yeah.
They were helped by Messi having a pretty quiet night, only completed 1 of his 5 attempted dribbles, was dispossessed 3 times, created 1 chance and only had 3 shots, though one of them was pretty good when he went through and volleyed it straight at Courtois. Vinicius was fantastic on the night. His second good performance in a week. I thought it was really good against Man City as well.
For sure.
4 dribbles, 2 shots, but really benefited from the service he got from Toni Kroos, who was exceptional, 98% pass accuracy, 4 tackles and interceptions, 1 dribble, which he seems to do every now and then, only 1 key pass, but had 3 shots. They were constantly finding him space on the edge of the box. Danny Carvajal as well, 5 tackles and interceptions, 1 dribble, 3 key passes and 1 assist, was just tearing up the wing all game long. He and Federico Valverde really had the run of that flank. Next up for Real, they go to 14th place Betis next weekend, while Barça hosts Sociedad, who've won 4 of their last 5 league games. So, an opportunity for Los Blancos to put the title beyond doubt. But what do you think? Will they go on to win the league, or will Barça roar back into it? Let us know in the comments below.
Before we move on to our next section, just a quick reminder to subscribe to EuroFootball Daily and hit that notification bell to never miss an ERU. Our second winner is Atalanta, and this came in at the suggestion of @Joe D. Shepherd. Why is that, Pat?
Well, they're the most entertaining side in Europe,
Yeah.
I'd say. I mean, let alone Serie A. And anyway, they stay in 4th, 3 points clear of Roma, who actually also had a really entertaining victory over Cagliari, 4-3, after a 7-2 away victory over Lecce. This is the 3rd time this season Atalanta have scored 7. The 3rd time.
It's mental.
They're the top scorers in Italy with 10 more than Lazio, who are the next best attacking side. And they're on 70 goals after 25 match weeks. So if they continue that rate over the rest of the season, they'll end up with 106 goals scored. I actually, by the way, when I was writing this, I clicked back through every league table in Serie A back to 1950-51.
Really?
Just to check something. But we'll come on to that in a bit.
Love that.
But it actually wasn't even certain this match would go ahead originally. 5 Serie A games scheduled for the weekend ended up being postponed in an attempt to contain the spread of coronavirus, which is mostly centred in the north of Italy. So they postponed a bunch of games like Inter Juve. That's going to happen, I think, tonight.
I believe so. I think it's later in the season.
Okay, well, 34 people in Italy have now died of the disease. I think over 1,500 have been confirmed to be infected. And the infection rate is at its highest in Lombardy. In the north, which is where Atalanta are actually from.
They were testing their fans in the the stadium.
They sold about 200 tickets, but only about 30 travelling fans ended up going.
The hardcore.
And the fans who went, they were giving them, they were testing their temperature outside the stadium before they were allowed to go in.
Quite scary, isn't it?
But once they got there, probably worth the trip.
Yeah, I mean, to say it was worth the effort is an understatement. They saw their team race into a 2-goal lead within 22 minutes through a Giulio Donati own goal. Absolute horror show from a corner. He just heads it in under no pressure whatsoever.
Weird.
And Duvan Zapata, it almost looked like match fixing, although I'm not accusing him of that. And Duvan Zapata's 9th in 13 start, both from corners. However, Zapanara struck back for the host before the half hour with a brilliant goal and turned provider for Donati 10 minutes later, who atoned for his own goal with an excellent strike from the edge of the box. But while the score was 2-2 at half-time, with 2 shots on target for Lecce and 3 for Atalanta. And Lecce, by the way, are no complete pushovers. They've beaten Fiorentina and Napoli this season. Gasperini's side turned on the afterburners following the interval. In the second half, they racked up another 14 attempts with 7 on target, with Zapata completing his hat-trick, Illicic, Muriel and Malinovsky all getting on the score sheet too. Malinovsky's actually popped up with quite a few goals now. I think he's on 3 for the league season and looks like a potential player in there for the future. 6 Atalanta players now have more than 10 goal involvements in Serie A. Illicic, who got 2 assists as well as his strike in this game, has contributed a goal or an assist every 75 minutes. Chris Hamill's doing a big campaign at the moment, saying he's the best player in Serie A on the basis of this season, and it's quite difficult to disagree with that, to be fair. Muriel does so every 70 minutes, and Zapata does so every 67 minutes. Gasperini, I don't know what he does to them, what he feeds them, but they are just goal hungry every single game. If they hit 100 Serie A goals this year, they'll be the first club to do so since 1950-51, when Milan, Inter and Juve all did it. Thank you to Pato van Straten for that level of research there. Take that to, chat to your mates in the playground or whatever. Next up is the visit of league leaders Lazio, and Inter and Juventus will be praying that Atalanta can keep this scoring run going. Pat, do you think, I know he's quite old, in his 70s, do you think Gasperini deserves the shot at another club?
Yes, on the basis of this.
Do you think he will? Because we always talk about Pochettino being available this summer, Allegri. Why do you think people aren't so keen to put Gasperini in the mix?
Because he's older and because he's had shots at bigger clubs before. Yeah. And I don't know, if I were him, I think I'd just stay there, until the wheels start to come off, and then I'd go. He's done amazing things. When you look at the talent, Illicic is a very talented player. Papu Gomez is a very talented player. But when you look at Luis Muriel scoring or assisting every 70 minutes, Zapata every 67 minutes.
Doesn't seem normal.
To get this production out of those guys, plus guys like Pasalic and Goossens, like, I don't know, he's... I think he's just found a perfect kind of chemistry for him there. So, I don't know. If he's happy there, I don't know why you'd move on.
Fair enough. And they're probably Champions League quarter-finalists in the driving seat after that. Was it 4-1 first leg victory over Valencia? So, well done Atalanta, well done Gasperini, worthy spot in our winners. Let's move on to our second loser.
Our second and final losers of the week are Ajax. This comes from Noel Mwesh at Noelix2. We don't often see teams from the Eredivisie, but it was a big game this weekend.
Yeah, right? Massive game, and it's been a bad week for the Amsterdam side, who followed up their Europa League exit at the hands of Getafe with a 2-0 home defeat to title rivals AZ Alkmaar. On Thursday, Erik ten Hag's team were looking to overturn a 2-0 first leg defeat to the Madrid Minnows, who are doing very well in La Liga this year. But the tie was put out of their reach within 5 minutes, with Jaime Mata striking to put Getafe 3-0 up on aggregate. Ajax managed to get on the scoreboard through Donny van der Beek and a Matthias Oliveira own goal, but it wasn't enough as they managed just 10 shots in both legs put together. Then we get to this weekend, and it seemed like the AZ match would be the chance to get back on track, with Ajax sitting 3 points ahead of them going into Sunday's clash, averaging 2.8 goals scored and under a goal conceded per game in domestic play. But again, they went behind early, with Myron Bordeaux, or Boudou, I think it's actually pronounced, netting within 4 minutes, his 14th of the campaign. He was included in a 10 that I wrote, I think it was back in December, of 10 players to watch, or 10 young players to watch in 2020, and he's continuing his good form. The 19-year-old has scored 5 against the big three in the Eredivisie, Ajax, Feyenoord and PSV this season, and more than 10 of the 18 current Eredivisie sides. So he's done fantastically well. And they managed to get a second through another player who's having a very good year.
Yeah, Oussama Idrissi, we've talked about him as well. Put the match beyond Ajax with 15 minutes to go, bringing him to 15 goal involvements in 24 games. Now, this was Ajax's 8th loss of the campaign in all competitions, more than in the whole of 2017-18 when they lost 7 times, and the whole of 2018-19 when they lost 6 times. So there's been a real drop-off in form this season.
Worrying.
Anyway, Arsed are now level with Ajax at the top of the Eredivisie on 53 points. They're both 6 clear of Feyenoord in 3rd. And while Idrissi and Boadu have been excellent, their success has really been built on the defence. They've conceded 17 goals in 24 games, which is 5 fewer than Ajax, who have the second best defence. And only 11 of the goals they've conceded have come from open play.
Really?
Yeah, 3 set pieces, 2 penalties, and an own goal.
That's really impressive.
They just do not concede. They're also now the first team to win 5 consecutive Eredivisie games against Ajax, Feyenoord, and PSV without conceding a single goal.
Blimey.
It's
I really like their
ridiculous.
winger Calvin Stengs as well. I think he looks really useful.
They've got loads of talent, man. They've got loads of talent. They tend to produce like 1 or 2 good players every now and then.
But it seems like a crop.
Yes,
right.
Exactly. And Boadu is 19. I mean, you assume that he's going to get a good shot. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what kind of where did you recommend he should go when you wrote about him?
I can't actually quite remember. I think it might have been Everton when they were struggling for a regular goal scorer in the first half of this year under Marco Silva. So potentially there, but then PSV haven't really had the best year either, and I don't know whether he'd be happy with taking another sort of middling step there as they've struggled to replace Luke de Jong. So I think the future's really bright for him.
Well, and he could still win the title this season. I mean, Arsed do have an easier run in than Ajax. Ajax go away to Feyenoord in a few weeks, whereas I think the toughest game for Arsed is like Heracles away, so I wouldn't be too concerned. If they manage to overtake the Amsterdam Giants, it would be only the 3rd title in their history. So I don't necessarily want to wish them good luck, but congratulations to them on putting up a really good campaign this season.
Our star of the week, this one, we wanted to get this one in. There's potential for another, a couple of other names that maybe did more stellar performances, but we wanted to talk about Inter Miami and specifically Carlos Vela, and this came in from @NG King Feng 8381. That was quite a mouthful, but got there in the end. Carlos Vela, perhaps.
Yeah, a quick hop outside of European shores. Across the Atlantic for this week's star. MLS football has just kicked off for the 2020 season, and all eyes were on Los Angeles as LAFC took on Inter Miami, who of course are going to be David Beckham's Inter Miami for the rest of probably their existence, I imagine. But the league debutants fell to a 1-0 defeat at the hands of the league favourites. A very, very tough way to start their life in the top flight for them. Last year's top scorer with 34 goals, Carlos Vela, turned up to the game in a pink and white suit. which
Flair.
well, those are Miami's colours as well.
Oh, okay.
So it was like, I don't know, it was a
Slightly
little
mind game though.
Yeah, a little bit. Started the season as he meant to go on, doing what he's been doing his entire career, scoring a chip. And it is a sensational chip.
Yeah, it's such a good goal. We can't obviously put that on a YouTube video, but go check it out on Football Daily's Twitter. And it was a very exciting game, actually. LAFC had 60% possession and fired off 21 shots against an Inter Miami team still finding their feet. And Vela obviously took home the Man of the Match award. He had 5 shots, got 3 on target, 4 dribbles, and completed 3 tackles and interceptions. Inter Miami travelled to DC United next weekend. Obviously, Wayne Rooney's ex-team, looking to get their first ever MLS point, while LAFC host Philadelphia Union in pursuit of their first MLS title. Any MLS fans out there, we want to hear from you. What do you make of Inter Miami's first outing? Do you think LAFC have what it takes to get that first title? Let us know in the comments down below. And best of luck to David Beckham and the Inter Miami team. A really exciting venture. And who knows, maybe they'll be able to attract some of the European stars that are slightly sort of winding down their careers, maybe the likes of David Silva in a couple of years. There's been talk of that. So best of luck to them. But that's all we've got time for on ERU for this week. Thank you very much for watching. Get your comments about our thoughts in the comment section below. And Pat, what should they go and do now?
Well, if you want to see a Premier League version of this show, then obviously go over to Football Daily and watch Winners and Losers, and make sure that you subscribe to the Extra Time podcast. You can find it on any good podcast app. New episodes dropping every Thursday.
Yeah, nice one. And remember, best comments will go on the Football Daily Instagram, so get them down below, and we'll see you next time. Bye.